What's going on, draft fans? Welcome to Cover One, the NFL Draft Podcast. It is the Week 4 preview with Damian Parson and I'm Russell Brown. With me, as always, DP Damian Parson. My man, how are you doing?
I am good, brother. I am good. Nice. Up early. I was up early on the Saturday morning. Went to bed late, woke up early. Don't know why. I'm not happy about it, but I'm happy to talk some football, though. Yeah, instant regret. And I didn't make my coffee before the show. So
Damn, dude, you suck.
Right. Dude, my morning has been awful.
We already got a comment in here from Dawn. She's like, can't believe. I'm assuming she's saying I can't believe I'm up.
Hi, Dawn.
And she can't believe she's up this early. If brevet is a word, I would just love to know what it means because I've never heard that word before in my life. So
right.
that'd be awesome. But yeah, so Week 4 preview. That's what we're doing. Today's show, as always, brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. It's the most innovative platform in the fantasy market. New users receive a free $10 bet with a $10 deposit when using promo code Cover1. So I completely butchered that, but just go, if you've never used it before, go to underdogfantasy.com, download the app Underdog Fantasy, go to Twitter, find them, smash the follow button, find them on Instagram, every social media platform possible. But go in, if you're a new user, register. You get a free $10 if you deposit $10, but you have to use the promo code Cover1. So get it now so you can get all the information you need. I mean, we got Week 3 of the NFL tomorrow. It's already kind of kicked off. So if you're in fantasy football, you're really big into it, Underdog Fantasy will help you with all of your football needs. Yeah. So she said my typos are horrible. It's okay, Don. We completely understand. I do it too.
It's early.
Yeah, it's early. Have a cup of coffee. It's Week 4 college football. It'll all be worth it because we're going to jump right in, and we're jumping in with Texas A&M and Arkansas. Look, I think this is probably to me the best game on the slate. I'm kind of disappointed it's in the middle of the day. I thought that this could have been the 7:30 game, the 8 o'clock game, but it's not. And I'm super pumped about this one. Arkansas has got some of my favorite players on defense, and they've even got a guy that I really like on offense. But we can obviously turn this over to you right now as far as who you're most excited to watch and who are some players that you're going to be watching for in this one. I kind of know exactly what direction you're going on the Texas A&M offense. That's for sure.
Oh man! In my notes, I wrote down the battle of the RBs. Right, so you have Isaiah Spiller and Devin Achane for A&M, and then you have Traylon Smith and Raheem Sanders for Arkansas. And pretty much, we saw that in the previous weeks when Arkansas faced Texas, they ran all over them. The ground game, the push, the movement, resetting the offense, the line of scrimmage by the offensive line, just pretty much dictating the game from the trenches standpoint. That's going to play a big part because while that front five for Arkansas is talented, they're going up against a very good defense in Texas A&M, which has one of the stars in it, DeMarvin Leal, as well as in the back end, Leon O'Neal. So it's going to be fun to watch kind of how the game progresses, how the flow is, what the flow is like, rather. So, I mean, Achane is the big play. He's got that track speed, world-class speed out of the backfield. Isaiah Spiller is he's pretty much that complete back, right? He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can run the inside zone, outside zones. He can do a lot of different things. So, and he's a lot of people's RB1. So, I'm not going to say where. I mean, he is my RB1 right now. I love his game completely. And like I said, I think this battle between these two sets of running backs truly will dictate this game.
Yeah, I mean, it really could. The one matchup I'm most excited for, and just real quick, I mean, Dawn's got some comments up here that I've already flashed, but this is her game. This is the one that she's most excited for that we're going to be talking about today. She's actually in Dallas for the game. She's a Hog fan.
Sweet.
And she's saying Arkansas's got 5 really good running backs. And honestly,
talented group.
She's not wrong. I mean, they can really run the football. But the one matchup that I'm most excited about is we talked about him on our audio show earlier this week, Jalen Weidermeyer, the tight end, and we did kind of a who would you rather have segment, right? And it was Billingsley from Alabama, and it was Weidermeyer out of Texas A&M. And I mean, right now, the guy that's been outperforming all of them from a tight end perspective is Trey McBride from Colorado State, but that's a topic for a different day. In this game, though, Jalen Catalan, the safety, one of my favorite players in this class. I mean, he can just go after it. He can get it. He can play up in the box. He's quick. He has tremendous ball skills. I would love to watch the matchup here against Weidemeyer, but also I feel like one of the linebackers that is most slept on in this class, and a guy that I've had on the NFL Draft podcast with me. And if you haven't listened to it, go back, subscribe to our show for the audio stuff, and you can go back and listen to it on Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcast, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. But it was with Grant Morgan, the linebacker out of Arkansas. The kid can cover. He reminds me a lot of Matt Milano, and I'm not somebody that throws around a lot of pro comparisons, but I think him against Weidemeyer, who's kind of off to a shaky start to get this year going through 3 games, he could have a big game, but I don't think he will because of Catalan and guys like Grant Morgan. And last year, Arkansas, they had a big game against Ole Miss. This year, they had a big game against Texas. I think here, this is a game that they can come in and play their style of play and have a big game, have a big moment. I mean, I know Texas A&M is one of the best teams in the country the way it looks, but I've said it all year, and even Grant Morgan on the podcast, he said, I think we're going to make some noise this year. And so far, he's been right. I mean, they're a top 15 team. They're playing at an incredibly high level. I like Arkansas. They've just got they've got a little bit more star power in this one. And that's no disrespect to one of my favorite interior offensive linemen, if not my favorite interior offensive lineman. That's Kenyon Green from Texas A&M, who's just an absolute stud. But I don't know, man. I think I don't know. I think this game is going to be close, and I think it's going to maybe come down to the last possession or maybe last defensive possession. And the team I trust there is just going to be Arkansas.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, they have Arkansas is talented, and the main thing is going to be the QB play, of course. Can the QB play keep them on schedule? And the thing about it is, it sucks for A&M because they lost, Haynes King, and I'm not pronouncing their current QB's name. I haven't even practiced it, so I'm not going to waste my time. But he's played solid, right? Calzada. There we go. I was going to, it was going to be bad. So I wasn't even going to attempt it. But another matchup for me in this game is going to be the battle of the 2 receivers, right? And there's 2 different prototypes. You have Treylon Burks, 6'3", I think like 6'2", 6'3", 230 or something like that. He looks like A.J. Brown with much better long speed and burst and explosion. And then you have the route runner, the explosive route runner, who also has legit speed as well, and Anaya Smith. He gives you kind of that Elijah Moore, Rondale Moore type of skill set and body type where you can, of course, previous years he was a running back. So now he's playing more receiver, but you can also put him back in the backfield, motion him out, get him matched up on a linebacker, and allow him to work or get him matched up against a safety, which we've seen on tape. He destroys a lot of safeties, especially because most of the time they're giving him heavy cushion, and he eats that cushion up, right? He steps on their toes, makes them uncomfortable, speeds up the clock. So for me, I'm watching that because it's just an intriguing, matchup between those two. Because like I said, both of them are draft darlings in a way, but they're both different skill set, prototypes, and body types.
I will get to some more of Dawn's comments here in a couple of seconds, but because she's lighting up the chat, I'm loving it. And I just want to throw out a go Hogs for her because I hope that they win. I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm going to put some money on Arkansas today because Dawn's been awesome and trooping with us this morning. But you want to feel old, right? So we all remember the receiver, Muhsin Muhammad, right? Played for the Panthers. His son, Moose Muhammad III, is a freshman on the Texas A&M football team, and he's already got like 4 or 5 receptions on the year. So he's got a touchdown and everything. So he might make a couple of splash plays today, and you'll be like, Moose Muhammad, I wonder who that is. Well, now you know. Moose Muhammad's son is a Texas A&M Aggie. I feel incredibly old right now.
Dropping those tidbits, man.
NFL little draft notes for you. But yeah, Dawn said Catalan is amazing. Absolutely. I mean, I think if it wasn't for Kyle Hamilton, and he could, it's almost like 1A, 1B in my opinion. I think it's a lot closer than people might say. But yeah, he could be a top safety in this class. I've actually said the same thing about Morgan and Milano. She's got a good eye. And she says she thinks Catalan reminds me of a smaller Jordan Poyer even. That's not far off. I mean, I don't know if Dawn's maybe a Buffalo Bills fan on this, but if she is, I mean, we got a strong Bills following, so they'd be loving that.
Of course.
She thinks our center is better in 2 and Stromberg if he's healthy enough today. And that's the key thing, man. Interior offensive linemen, they not always, but they just get those weird plays where they get dinged up and it just slows them down periodically throughout the season. So I'm with you. I hope he is healthy because I would love to see Treylon Smith have a big game. KJ isn't known for throwing skills, but last week they added to his repertoire. KJ is just learning. I mean, he's had bits and pieces where he's looked really solid. So I hope he continues to build off that. And then she's got the crying, laughing emoji. So I don't know if that was towards me throwing out the Go Hogs or if that was because Musa Muhammad is got a kid out there. So, and yes, she is a Buffalo fan and the Sabres. Sorry about the Sabres. Jack Eichel not going to be returning on the ice for them anytime soon. I could talk for days about hockey. So anyways, getting back into draft stuff, let's go to the game that, I don't know, probably we're going to get into a little, not a heated debate or anything, but we're going to be talking about a specific quarterback. That's your guy, Jack Cohen, Wisconsin versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame, they got running back number 1, Kyron Williams. This is going to be a fun game. It's a noon kickoff, if I remember correctly, and it's just going to be a fun game because I think it's a really big test for Notre Dame. I think it's a big test for Wisconsin as well. Both teams, I think, can be really up and down this year. They got a lot of talent, but it's going to be a fun one. I think it's going to be a close one. Notre Dame's had some close ones to start the year, so I wonder if maybe Wisconsin's going to play a little bit of a spoiler today and beat the Fighting Irish. I don't know. But I know you got some prospects that you're really excited about in this one.
Of course, Jack. Cohen is my guy. We all know that, right? So, I got a rep for my guy Jack Cohen. But it's funny because watching him play in this offense, Kyron Williams hasn't broken out on the ground just yet. Only 46 attempts, 211 yards. He's averaging 4.6 yards per carry and only 2 rushing touchdowns. He is their second leading receiver with 11 receptions, 155 yards and 2 touchdowns as well, averaging over 14, a little over 14 yards of reception. So that he's still showing his explosive ability. It's just more so in the passing game right now rather than the run game. And that's where I'm looking at right now in this game is in the trenches watching Jack Sanborn, the linebacker from Wisconsin, watching how him and Matt Henningsen. I like Matt a lot because he's kind of a boulder in the middle of that defense. He's able to lock his lower body and take on double teams, anchor in the run game. And I want to see Notre Dame get the run game going, so get that play action pass game going as well. But right now, Jack Cohen and Michael Mayer, they have momentum. They're making magic right now. He's their leading receiver right now with 17 receptions, 200 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Jack Cohen, which is like I said, it's crazy when you look at it. He's spreading the ball around. He has 4 receivers hovering around 150 receiving yards or more. And he has 828 receiving or passing yards and 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And like I said, he's been sacked 14 times. So the trench play is going to be very important. But I'm just watching him. Again, I continue to talk about with him, just be the point guard. Distribute, get the ball to your playmakers, allow them to make plays in space. When you need to take your deep shots, take them. He throws a good deep ball, which we saw, I believe it was against Florida State when he had his great, that first great game of his. And he's layering it out there. All 3 levels, he's attacking that defense. And I want to see that continue. So I'm watching him closely because, again, coming into this draft, a lot of smoke, a lot of dust right now with the quarterback position. Nothing solidified. Granted, I still have Malik Willis as my QB1. Matt Corral and I've dropped Spencer Rattler down just a bit. I'm not liking what I'm seeing on the All-22 from him in terms of decision making and reading. He has to get better in that realm, which I'm going to talk about him later, but. Definitely, Jack Cohen could make himself some money if he continues to play at the level he's playing. He can end up working himself into the middle rounds, that 4th round for a team that has an older, established starter that wants to draft a guy to develop.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it quite a bit maybe a week or two ago about Jack Cohen and what he can bring to the table. And I mean, we both can agree, like maybe right now he's not necessarily the high level starter that we're looking for, as maybe like a Matt Corral or something. But at the same time, like to your point, like he could make himself some money this weekend if he has a good game. He doesn't turn the football over. He shows that toughness, that competitive toughness, the mental toughness of dislocating your finger and popping it back into place and throwing that game-winning touchdown. I mean, there's a lot that he can do this weekend against Wisconsin to really prove himself. The one thing I'm looking forward to is Notre Dame's offensive line. They've lost their left tackle. They've had 3 different starters at left tackle, I should say. And we always know Wisconsin somehow develops an edge rusher that makes us go, this kid's got some talent, from TJ Watt to Zach Bond over the last couple of years. Obviously, JJ Watt years ago. They might not necessarily have that this year, but, Jack Sanborn, their linebacker, is somebody that a lot of draft fans will probably pay attention to. But, I mean, Mascalanis is one of their linebackers who, this defense seems to be off to kind of a slow start statistically. But there's some guys that I think that could maybe expose that left side of the offensive line, and that could put Jack Cohen under some pressure. It might limit some of the stuff that Kyren Williams could do in the backfield. But at the same time, I love Kyren Williams. I do like Jack Cohen. I do like, the direction that this offense can go with the Fighting Irish. But at the same time, I do like what Wisconsin can do offensively. Now, Mertz has to, he has to limit turnovers. He has to limit the mistakes. And he hasn't thrown a touchdown this year. They haven't thrown a passing touchdown. So Wisconsin really hasn't done much through the air, but I wonder, does that help them today? Because realistically, they haven't had to throw the football, like you're not going up against a team like Notre Dame on most weeks to start the year. You're playing the Northern Illinois and all these kind of cupcake teams. You stick to the game plan that works, and that's running the football. That's what Wisconsin is known for. So, can they establish the run today? Probably a little bit, but at the same time, they've got a receiver that I've watched for a couple of years now, Danny Davis. He's a senior, 6 foot, 200 pounds, and he's probably their top receiver. 3 years ago, he had 70 receptions between 2 seasons, and he's already off to 11 this year. So I think he could potentially get his first touchdown of the season. Obviously, what does Kyle Hamilton bring to the table for the Fighting Irish's defense? We all know what to kind of expect there. Could he pick off Mertz? Probably. Could it be a difference maker? Probably. It's going to be interesting. I just, part of me leans towards Wisconsin in this one. Just something is telling me go Wisconsin, because I think Notre Dame's had too many close calls. But at the same time, when you talk about firepower, when you talk about draft talent and what we do and evaluating talent, I think Notre Dame's got a little bit more to offer. So, we'll see what happens, right? It's going to be a fun game. I'm obviously going to be watching because Kyren Williams is there, and people are now starting to speculate RB1 for him. And I would just like to say I said that like August 1st. So let's go to the night game.
Before we go, I want to throw out a quick name, Cam Hart. When you talk about Danny Davis, a guy I'm looking to see, to watch from the cornerback position to see if he travels with him or he matches up with him much at all. Cam Hart. He's a junior. He's a sophomore. 6'2", 205. He leads Notre Dame's defense in passes defended. Of course, Kyle Hamilton leads them in interceptions with 3, but he leads them with passes defended. He has 18 tackles on the season as well, so he doesn't mind coming up into the run game. He doesn't mind. He's a solid tackler. He's got the size and length to match up with Danny Davis. So that's a matchup I'm looking for too as well.
Yeah, again, there's going to be a lot of matchups to watch in this one, and it's just going to be a fun game. It really is. It's going to be a great game to get the week, the weekend of football started, and then obviously, like we said, A&M and Arkansas, and then later tonight, the big night games are probably the following, and we'll go with the one that's at 7:30, West Virginia, Oklahoma. I get why this was the night game. Again, I would have A&M and Arkansas, but West Virginia, they've always. Not always, but they normally have a tough defense, and we have potential QB1 Spencer Rattler in the limelight here. National TV game under the lights, and Oklahoma has had some shaky starts to the season, if we can say that, especially with their offense. They've been kind of slow going, but Oklahoma's got an opportunity to kind of break out of their shell on national TV, and I think Spencer Rattler is going to be that guy. I really do. I think today's going to be the day he throws for 300, 350 yards, 4 or 5 touchdowns, and just has himself a game and kind of puts himself back on the map as QB1. And that's no disrespect for Matt Corral, but I think that's your competition right now, quarterback, as far as QB1, QB2. Sam Howell's kind of creeping up back into the conversation. Malik Willis is up in that conversation. But me personally, Matt Corral, Spencer Rattler, those are the two guys as competing for quarterbacks. And I'm just pumped to watch Spencer Rattler tonight.
No, I am as well. Like I said, I love his tools. I love everything he brings to the table physically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, for me, watching, and I tweeted out the clip. His interception against Tulane. It is two things that stuck out to me. For one, it was the second play of the game and his second throw.
Yeah,
doesn't read the defensive concept. He has a running back clear in the flats, wide open. And this is why I always talk about I always jot this down when I'm watching quarterbacks. Do they take what I call the boring play, or sometimes the Tom Brady play? When he was in New England, he hit the open guy, whether it's a running back, a slot receiver, tight end, whoever's open, no matter what depth in the field, he's going to hit them because they're open. Mm-hmm. And you have to me, with a lot of quarterbacks who have arm talent, it's a thing that you have to kind of mentally is the thing they have to get a hurdle they have to jump and clear is take what the defense gives you. Yes, I know you want to push the ball downfield. You want to make those highlights for ESPN and all that good stuff, right? So they can roll it on your draft day, right? When your name's called. That's fine. But when you throw it to the running back, let your running back, I think it was Eric Gray, if I'm not mistaken. We all know he's elusive. He's shifty in open space. Allow him to trust him to make a play or second down. Like he's open in the flats, let him go make a play. And he forces him to double coverage. So, and we see that too much from him. Like I said, if he can finish the season strong, like he did last year, it's just the main thing for him is consistency. But, like I said, I do think he has a strong chance to rebound today. I want them to get Mike Woods involved, Russ. He was your big name, one of your big name transfers from Arkansas. With Felipe Franks as his quarterback, he was able to be a 3-level receiver.
Yeah,
something's got to give here because he had a lesser talented quarterback in terms of accuracy when he was at Arkansas, and they still got him the ball. Isolated one-on-one. He's working DBs. He's working coverages. And I'm looking at Lincoln Riley and Spencer. I'm like, okay, what's going on? Like, we have to get this young man the ball. You have Marvin Williams. You have, I think it's Mario Williams, who's another jitterbug, explosive receiver that you give the kind of the jet motion and orbit motion type of plays to get him the ball on the move. Again, Mike Woods could be your legitimate number one. And if not, he could be your number two. Trust me, I know Don. Having him and Treylon Burks, that was to me the best tandem at receiver in terms of how they complemented each other. Mm-hmm. And then when he left, I was like, oh man. But it's just like for me, I need Spencer and Woods to get on the same page. And we talked about it on the recap show last Sunday. Get the ball downfield. I don't care if you do. I don't know if they're not trusting the O-line, Russ, but maybe call some heavier protections, leave somebody in to block, get some play action going, and work the one-on-ones. Let Spencer Rattler push the ball again. Target the one-on-one, not the double coverage spits. Like, I want to see them push the ball downfield.
Well, and I think too with Oklahoma, I mean, they have some talent, right? Like Mims, you mentioned Woods here, but I think at the same time, like you've got players like Charleston Rambo who transferred to Miami, Florida, the tight end who had to retire, but he came out of retirement and he's playing for SMU now. It's Grant Calcutta, right? I think it's Calcutta or I don't know how to say the last name. But like he was one of the top tight ends a few years ago. Everybody was kind of like, hey, this guy's got tight end one potential, following the footsteps of Mark Andrews, and he had to retire because of injuries, and he's back out there. So while they lost some stars offensively, it shouldn't really affect Spencer Rattler's game because he never got to play with those guys, and they've still got some talent there. But for West Virginia, the one player offensively you've just got to circle, and it's, especially, I might be stealing your thunder a little bit, but it's a running back, and that's Letty Brown, the senior.
Yes,
he's 5'11", 216. Man, like he's been off to a slow start, and then when we look back at week one, right, like Virginia Tech and North Carolina couldn't run the football to save their life. He goes up against Virginia Tech and North Carolina. North Carolina couldn't get the ball going. Virginia Tech plays West Virginia last weekend, and he goes off for 160 yards. He has a score. He has a long run of 80 yards. They actually beat Virginia Tech. And, he's somebody that was underrated going into this year. He had 1,000 yards rushing last year. He had over 220 touches. So, I mean, if you get the ball in his hands, he can make something happen. He might be a little bit of a bigger back, but he's a really nice piece to this offense, probably the key piece to the offense. And the two players on the Oklahoma defense that I think will be looking to shut it down is, Nick Bonito, the edge rusher, and then my guy Isaiah Thomas, the other defensive end, who can play more in that 4-eye, playing as a 3 technique. He can play all over the place, and he's more of my style of edge rushers. And I think those guys could have a big game and maybe shut him down a little bit. But Letty Brown is definitely maybe the most underrated player in this game tonight, because he could have a big game, but he could also, just from a draft perspective, really turn some heads, and people could be like, oh, this guy's actually pretty nice. I haven't really watched West Virginia this year, and I'm watching it on national TV on a Saturday night in week 4. So Letty Brown is definitely somebody to keep tabs on.
Absolutely, man. I love Letty Brown. I stumbled upon him really during this past draft season when I was finishing my evals. I just kind of kept watching different guys and different offenses, and he popped, and I was like, oh, okay. Like I said, he's got that thick, just strong frame. He runs well between the tackles. The inside zone, he runs well. He does some work in the outside zone as well. Can catch the ball out of the backfield. He was one of my underrated risers in terms of running backs this season. When you talk about the defense for Oklahoma, to combat Letty Brown is going to me, is going, especially on that inside zone track. Perry and Winfrey. I was about to mess the name up. Perry and Winfrey. He has to show up. He has to stack, shed, disengage, and really create havoc. Reset the offensive line first off against these centers and against the center and guards. Just really push back, give nice pop off the ball. Knockback power. He has to insert himself early. Let them know feel his presence, because if not, they're going to try and run the ball all game in a lot of different ways, especially, like I said, that inside zone track. They're going to try to duo block him, get up to the second level, create a seal, create that alley for Letty. And then we've seen him this year take it the distance. For a guy that's 216, he has good long speed as well. And he's the type of back that it's not just speed for him. He has the physicality, the body type to play kind of a grinded out game and give you that physicality. You want to match physicality to physicality. He can do that as well. So, because Jared, I think it's Jared Doge, I believe is how you pronounce his name, the quarterback. He's solid. 729 yards. He got six touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So that's not what you want to see. But, look, I really like the receiver Sam James as well. He's talented. He's 10 receptions, buck 66, 16.6 yards per reception, 3 touchdowns. So it's going to be intriguing just to kind of see how this game goes, especially in the trenches. Because if they take Letty Brown away, I think Oklahoma can really run away with this game. Because I think that they will get at Nick Bonito, Winfrey, Alex Grinch, probably send some pressures at Jared and really turn him from a quarterback to Jared from State Farm when he's selling their shirts.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, man. And I completely lost my train of thought there. What I was going to say. I had with Sam James, he is somebody that had a really nice season 2 years ago. He had like 40 to 50 receptions, almost 700 yards. And then obviously COVID kind of messed up everything for everybody last year.
Right.
And then, he's off to a nice start this year. So you're absolutely right. He could be somebody as well. If Letty Brown gets shut down, he could for sure be somebody on the outside. And honestly, I thought that this was going to be like the Pac-12 after dark game. This game's at 6:00 Eastern time. So my fault for kind of going out of order on the schedule. But UCLA versus Stanford for 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I think everybody, if you have not watched this show, go back, rewatch a couple of shows. If you haven't listened to the audio podcast, go back and listen to some of those shows. I think everybody knows what direction we're going here. 2 of our guys, UCLA, the running backs, Zach Charbonnet, Britton Brown, fun combination, fun duo, maybe one of the best duos in college football when it comes to the backfield. What are we expecting here? What do we think?
The ground game has to get back on track for UCLA. Last week, I believe it was, and it's not even just last week, but pretty much the entire season since they started the season. Zach Charbonnet hasn't eclipsed. He hasn't even gotten close to 19 carries, right? I think his most was like 11, something like that. He's been such a big play threat for them. So it's like, okay, limited carries, but he's breaking off these big chunk runs. And don't get me wrong, Britton Brown deserves all his carries as well. So, and you have a running threat at quarterback. So I just want to see them kind of get Charbonnet back on track. I want to see the run game really be emphasized in this game. Set up that play action for Greg Dulcich and DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Get him on the move. Move the launch point for him. Don't let him just sit back there as a sitting duck. But get him on the move. Some RPOs, on some sprint outs, some bootlegs. Just allow him to threaten with show the threat of his legs on passing plays, and then open up some things downfield. But this ground game, it's so diverse. I love watching it. The O-line, Sean Ryan at left tackle is a stud. Their blocking schemes, just old school type of run scheme. When you have two lead blockers, you have some counters, power pull, pinning, pulling. It's just fun to watch, and the patience from both Britton and Zach to allow their blocks to set up and then hit it. Britton's more. No, don't get me wrong. Both of them are powerful runners, but Zach Charbonnet to me has more of the longer speed. He's more explosive, and I even tweeted out one of the runs I was watching on tape where the DB tried to fill the alley against Britton Brown, and Britton nearly took his head off. I was just like, you have to, if you want to be that alley defender, you have to kind of square your shoulders to get ready for a hit, ready for that collision. But Britton Brown runs with such physicality. He's north and south guy, and just this running game, to me, they are the best running tandem in football for me right now. It's crazy because we haven't fully seen them utilized completely because of the fact that Chip Kelly likes to do different things with his play calling.
Yeah, I mean, Britton Brown, man, I've liked him since he was at Duke. I remember watching Daniel Jones, and there's an article on Cover One somewhere where I break down Daniel Jones and that offense and how they love to use kind of a inside zone with an RPO attached to it and really put the decision-making on Daniel Jones. But Britton Brown was a key piece in that offense, and he's such a natural fit in a zone scheme. And once he gets into the open field, or even if you get in the box with him, like there's a chance he's going to run you over, but he's got a nice little wiggle to him. So I love his running style. I love the way he plays. Definitely, probably my favorite player in this game is Britton Brown. But I will say there are two players from Stanford that I've circled that have caught my eye. And I'll be honest, I'm with Dawn here, admitting I'm rooting for Stanford. I do think Stanford wins this game, or at least if we're talking from a betting perspective, the spread's 4.5. I think it's going to be. I think you take plus 4.5 on this one because Stanford's playing its first home game in like 7 games or something. They've played all road games since last year. They've got they had a neutral site game earlier in the year. Kansas State when they played them and they lost that game. So I think I don't know. I think that they're going to play a little bit of a spoiler today. First home game, Stanford fans. I think the whole 9. So we'll see. But Bryson Tremaine, the wide receiver. Really big frame, 6'4", 205. He's a senior. He's got 13 receptions to start the year. Going to have a career year for him. He's already got 3 touchdowns. So I think he's somebody that you can utilize, as somewhat of a vertical threat. But he can climb the ladder. He can high point the football. He does well at the catch point. And I really do think he's somebody that in the red zone is their go-to target. And especially with a quarterback in McGee, he's a big QB. He's got 5 touchdowns on the year. He's 6'6", 230. Tanner McGee is somebody he's that Stanford quarterback, right? Like that prototypical quarterback that might not be super mobile or anything like that, but he can throw the football around. And again, his key guy is Bryson Tremaine. But defensively, Stanford's got a cornerback that I'm always late to the party when it comes to corners because I just like to wait till the combine. I like to see how they test, and then I'll get to the evaluations there because if I've just been burnt too many times on guys that have who run like a 4.65, and I'm like, oh no, he's the real deal. And then I watch him and he runs a 4.65, and I'm like, well, you can't cover because you're going to get beat deep against Tyreek Hill every single weekend. Right. So, yeah, but Caillou Blue Kelly, what a name. This dude's a dog, man. He's 6'1", 186. He's got 2 interceptions already this year, 4 pass deflections. If UCLA is going to be trying to get the ball going, I mean, we already know Dorian Thompson can throw it around a little bit, but at the same time, he can turn the ball over. And he's done well recently, but I think maybe the turnovers come back because of this kid here. You know, Paulson Adebo was somebody that we talked about on this defense for years in their secondary. Well, now we move our attention here to Caillou Blue Kelly, who I think is I think he's a pretty talented defensive back. I think he's pretty underrated. But I love that he's physical. I love that he can close to the football. And I think, again, today is somebody that while the run game might be the key factor for UCLA, if they try to throw the football, I think Kelly's going to be somebody that makes a difference.
No, absolutely, and I want to see, him matched up against Phillips, the shifty slot receiver for UCLA. He is their he's good, man, and I really like his ability, especially against. I watched the LSU tape. The way he was able to, because they had him against Byron Stingley. You know, Byron Stingley had him in a tight, nasty split, if I remember correctly. Stingley's playing off, and I was like, yeah, that's the one thing against Kyle Phillips you don't really want to do is play off, as well as play off and already have the gate open. And what I mean by the gate, for everyone watching and listening, don't know what that means, is his hips already open to a side, so he's already giving. You know, one thing Croc always says, take away something and chase something. Mm-hmm. So I prefer to see my guys either in the nickel or lined up inside as corner. If you're going to play off, especially be more square. So, you know, you can kind of, especially if you got, you know, Stingley has fluid hips. He can move. He can speed turn. He can flip his hips. He can run with nearly anyone. Maybe not Devonta Smith, but whatever. You know, no, I'm just kidding. I mean, Devonta cooked him twice, but no, he's so talented. He's so good. So I wanted to see them play his technique a little differently than giving him the inside, because all Kyle Phillips did was eat up the cushion, foot fire at the top of his release, broke inside, and then now he puts Byron Stingley in trail and on a crosser running through a lot of, you know, mesh concepts and everything else, and it's just like it's chaotic. And for a DB, it's hard to handle that. So especially in off coverage. So definitely, you know, that matchup, can he, because that is, if I'm not mistaken, that's been DTR's favorite receiver so far this season.
Yeah, he has. Yep.
11 receptions for 174. So, and 3 touchdowns. So he's the favorite target. And that's typically how it works a lot of times, especially nowadays, when you have a slot guy who can create natural separation, that's going to be your outlet. You know what I mean? So that's the guy he's going to look for when he's in trouble. So definitely, Tribe. They choke like a dog versus Fresno State.
Jake Haener is the man, dude.
Yeah, Jake Haener's nice. He's nice. I can't lie. I watched him last night. He's nice. I like him.
He hurt and everything, and he's just throwing heaters, man. And I'm like, dude, that's pretty impressive. You got a bad hip, you got like a oblique strain or something like that. Like, you're all messed up, and you can't even walk, and you're throwing dimes out there into tight coverage and everything else. So definitely Jake Haener, somebody that we could talk about a little bit more. I did write about him, though, earlier this week as somebody that really impressed me in week 4. So if you're a Fresno State fan, or if you're a pissed off UCLA fan, go ahead and look at that article so you can have bad memories. Any upsets for week 4, getting away from some prospects? I guess you could throw some prospects into why you think there's going to be an upset brewing. I mean, I know what direction I'm going in here, and I think it's going to happen. They kind of already lost once this year, but I think they're going to lose again. And as much as I thought Brock Purdy could be somebody for Iowa State, we all talk about Breece Hall as an RB1 candidate, but he's kind of been so-so this year. They're on the road, they're at Baylor, and something's just telling me, money line bet Baylor, do it, Russ, because Baylor's going to win this thing. Baylor's 3-0 on the year, but
It's in Waco too.
That's in Waco. They got some nice pieces on offense. Abram Smith is 5'11", 230. Their quarterback has played really well so far this year. And he hasn't turned the football over. And I think that's kind of key, where Brock Purdy does make some dumb mistakes. And their wide receiver, RJ Sneed, he's been with the team for a while. He's a nice piece. I mean, he's not somebody that's got, all the traits that you're looking for in a wide receiver one, but at the next level, nice complement piece. And again, 6'1", 203. They've got some pieces. They've got some size on the offense. And I think that they can compete with Iowa State. And again, you got to outscore the opposition to win. I think that they can do that today. So give me Baylor upsetting Iowa State.
I like it. I'm going to go, and it's just, I've kind of been talking about it for a couple of weeks now. Clemson is not a playoff contender. Mm-hmm. And I would hope, even if they ran the table, unless their offense truly, and it's a lot of young guys that have to develop, right, and get their bearings and get their feet under them. Right now they're treading water. They're not swimming yet, right? So I'm going North Carolina State. Man. Devin Leary, Zonovan Knight. I want to see Leary get the ball to Emeka Emezie. Now, the only problem with that, Andrew Booth. So you gotta take your shots when they're there. Don't test this stud too often, because he will make you pay. But I want to see, because it's a lot of different things that's going on. Clemson's offensive play calling has been atrocious to me. The offensive line has been a problem. Not understanding that Will Shipley is your best running back, and you're just now figuring that out. You should have used them more in space and everything else against Georgia. When your defense is keeping the game close, and you're no shot to Lynn J. Dixon, but I'd rather see Shipley with the ball in his hands. 33 carries, $175, over 5 yards to carry, 4 rushing touchdowns, and he can catch the ball in the backfield. You just need to use him in that realm as well. But I love DJ Uiagalelei and his traits and his tools. But again, he's first year starter. Young team is not the same offensive line from last year, where we saw him against Notre Dame and against Boston College, and he showed some of the special ability that he had because he was able to stand in the pocket. He also wasn't rushed, so mentally he wasn't really jittery in the pocket like he is kind of this year. He's trying to get the ball out quick. He doesn't trust the O-line. Last year, he was back there. He was fine. He was confident. Not only that, but he was willing to run the ball. I'm not seeing them use that big 6'4", 250-pound frame in the power run game. Give me some QB veer. Give me some RPO power.
Ooh, a little veer action.
Yeah, give me some of that, man. Like, just help the run game, because then what does that do? That gives you the play action where he's stepping up into the pocket, pulls those linebackers down, you layer it over the top. It gives you that ability. But man, like I said, Zonovan Knight, I think the main thing is for North Carolina State's O-line to handle. I want to say his name correctly is Brian Brzee. Yeah, like Brian. Him. Skowski, is a physical downhill type of linebacker. He's not good dropping back in coverage, but he will come up and, we know that he will hit you and lay the lumber. So being able to control that front seven, Miles Murphy and those guys, because if not, and you're in situations where it's passing consistently over and over again, Devin Leary is going to be under some pressure.
Well, you can't probably see it, but the bet's going to be in. So Baylor money line, North Carolina State money line, $10 pays 126. So thank you, DraftKings. We'll see, man. I can't wait. I mean, I think I completely forgot about the NC State Clemson game. I'm not even gonna lie. And there are some studs in that game. So, and I'm surprised we didn't. I should have said something. I probably should have added it to the schedule. Oh well. But we're just kind of winding down, closing up shop here in a second, and getting ready for Week 4. What 2022 NFL Draft prospect are you most excited for in Week 4? If you're watching the show here on YouTube, be sure to drop some comments on who you're most excited for, because obviously I'll put it up on the screen. We'll maybe talk about it, elaborate a little bit on it. But DP, what NFL draft prospect for 2022 are you most excited for here in week 4?
Man, there are a lot of options, but you know where I'm going, running back, right? You know, and I'm going with my guy. He's hot right now. Walker, man, Michigan State.
There we go, baby.
Michigan State versus Nebraska, and I even said it on the podcast I was on. Shout out to Coach Bruce and my boy Brett Pape. My thing right now, I love Brees Hall, but I have moved Walker up as my RB2 right now. I just love everything he brings to the table: physicality, explosiveness, twitch, change of direction, cutting on demand, elusiveness in open field. And the crazy thing about it is, I think he can catch the ball as well. They haven't had to throw it to him, so he's just been so dominant as a runner, and he wears down defenses not only with his physicality but trying to tackle him in open space. You know, I know a lot of people when they saw the tweets, the clips and everything, it's like, oh, it's Miami. Well, no, it's not just Miami. He's been doing it all season, so he's just that good, and I'm really excited to see him. I want him to continue what he's doing, continue this dominant path, because that really, for me, I love chaos in the running back position. So let's create some chaos. Let's get to the draft, and people were just kind of scrambling. Who's truly RB1? Is it, Ken Walker finishes with 1,400 rushing yards and 20 touchdowns. His name deserves to be in that conversation.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I'm super pumped for 7:00 tonight. Nebraska's a team that always gives Michigan State a hard time for whatever reason. So if Kenneth Walker can come out and do what he's been doing, he'll be the difference maker, and there won't be any issues at all. So he's completely opened up the passing game for Peyton Thorne, who has thrown 9 touchdowns this year, no interceptions. He's looked actually really nice. So I'm super pumped about that one. I'm trying to figure out what prospect I'm most excited about this weekend. And I mean, honestly, we've probably already talked about him, but I'm going to go with Spencer Rattler at the night game, because he's kind of had some people doubting him already. Like, he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing, from going through progressions, rushing through stuff. And you know what? That's fine. I think he gets it back on track today. And as much as I'm a big Matt Corral guy, as much as I'm a big Malik Willis fan, I'm going to stay with my guy, Spencer Rattler. When in doubt, stick to your guns. And I think Rattler comes out and he plays big tonight, and really sets the world on fire with how he plays. Dawn's got something here, and she's been great tonight or today. Derek Stingley, LSU cornerback, because the Bills need another cornerback. Thank you.
Stingley is out.
Stingley is out. So
yes, I just saw he injured his foot in practice this week, and he might be out a while, so he's not even playing today.
Well, I was going to go with Phil Jerkovich, the Boston College quarterback, but he's hurt. And I was like, oh, maybe he's returning this week. And then I look and he's not playing. So, because Boston College plays Missouri, which I think is actually going to be a pretty decent game. And
Connor Bazelak, QB from Missouri. Put him on your watch list.
Well, there you go. You got that. But I'm with Dawn here on this, that the Bills need another cornerback. I wrote an article for Cover One last September, and I wasn't throwing shade at Levi Wallace, but I kind of was, because I think he's all over the place, and I don't think he should be your number 2 corner. And I thought this past year in the draft, I thought last year they should have went after a corner, and they went, back-to-back edge rushers and then back-to-back offensive tackles. So I don't know what the Bills are doing, but they need another corner. I agree there. But yeah, it's going to be a fun week 4, a full slate here. We went over a ton of games. We've given you, I feel like, 500 draft prospects, and week 4 is always fun. All of this is always fun with you guys, so we appreciate it. Like we said to start the show, it's presented by Underdog Fantasy. So if you have not checked out Underdog Fantasy, you need to do so. Go to underdogfantasy.com, find them on social media, follow them. And if you've never tried it, you can register. And look, you deposit $10, it's $10, and you get a free $10 to play with. So you essentially end up with $20, but you have to use the promo code COVER1. So if you have doubt about fantasy football, you have no idea what you're doing, check them out, and they will change it for you. And you can maybe win some money while you're doing it. So it's a ton of fun. And Don's like, we also need another offensive tackle. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to shift this into a Bills podcast. You're very welcome, Don. Thank you for the interaction today. Go Hogs. It was a great show. Appreciate it. You guys, if you want more of this content, obviously we do this every single Saturday or Sunday, every weekend. We also will be doing an audio show throughout the week at some point, probably Monday nights, maybe a Tuesday night or something, depending on schedules. But if you want this content all the time, the best place to find us is on Twitter at Russ NFL Draft, at DP_NFL. Smash the follow buttons. Be sure to add the podcast to your rotation of shows that you listen to. Again, you can find it on every podcast platform that you listen to shows. So just rate, review, and subscribe to the show. DP, my man, I appreciate you as always coming out on a Saturday morning early. Go get some coffee. Enjoy week 4. And of course, we will talk to you guys next week here on the live show of Cover 1, the NFL Draft.